So we now move to the thought leadership panel discussion. Moderating this session is Ms. Harsha Almad, Vice President, Global People and Change and India Consulting Hub Lead at Wipro. Joining her are our distinguished panelists, Dr. Shilpa Vora, Chief R&D Officer, Marico Limited, Ms. Viju Sirsat, Joint Director of Industries, Government of Maharashtra, Ms. Ashwini Pable, Founder, Revanta Fashions Private Limited, Ms. Mubaraka Lokhandwala, Executive Director, MML Global Advisory. May I request our moderator and panelists to kindly come on the stage.
Almost good evening, everyone. It was very inspiring to hear from the previous panel discussion or the previous ceremony that we had. But I also feel that perhaps we could all use a bit of a warm-up, if that's okay. So can I kindly request everyone to take stand up for 2 seconds? That's okay. I work in the people and change space, and I'm also a psychologist, so I do know how to wake people up. Often tried on my family members. So I'll request your cooperation for 40 seconds, if that's okay. I'm going to request all of you to follow my lead, and we'll do a simple exercise. Okay? All right. Right hand up. Okay, we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, we do left hand up. Same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we do that with the right leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't be shy. I'm doing it in a sari, so I'm sure you can too. Left leg, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Shake, shake, shake. All ready? Good to go for the next session? Yes. Are we a bit more energized? Yes. Okay, awesome. Yeah. I try this trick often because at work as well, we're going from one meeting to the other and we need to wake ourselves up, be mindful. And with that energizing thought, let's start with this fascinating session about prerna. My name is Harsha Almad, and I'm truly delighted to be here at the KASMB session. Via association, I've had the pleasure of noticing KASMB become a beacon of light for a lot of small and medium enterprises. And with that, we've seen India shine as well. So it truly is my honor to be speaking with the lovely leading ladies who are here to inspire us with their thoughts, idea, and of course the stature that they bring to the table as well, right? So I'd like to start by introducing the panelists for today's session. Dr. Shilpa Vora, Chief R&D Officer at Marico Limited. Can we please have a big round of applause for her, please? Ms. Viju Sirat, Director of Industries, Government of Maharashtra. Namaskar. And Ms. Ashwini Pable, Founder, Revant Fashion Private Limited. Thanks for being with us, ma'am. Right. So what you're going to experience in the next 40-some minutes is some authentic conversation with regards to Nari Shakti, also with regards to the power of women in the MSMEs enterprise. And in preparation for today's session, I just wanted to quote a couple of stats that I kind of came across. MSMEs contribute to close to 30% to India's GDP. Can you take a wild guess as to how much percentage of women work in MSMEs today? It's close to 3% of a GDP, based on the stats that I've got here, ma'am. Right? MSMEs create close to 25 million jobs, so it's a super important powerhouse for Indian economy. Women who often, and there is a lot of work to be done, like I mentioned, right? There is 30% of India's GDP contributed overall by MSMEs, but only 3% kind of it's attributed to women. So a lot of work that women do perhaps gets unnoticed as well. That's a major gap that we've got. The research also shares that the closing gender gap will add close to $700 billion in terms of to the economy of our country. So there's a massive gap which inclusion and diversity can fulfill. The research also suggests that women typically reinvest close to 90% of whatever they earn as compared to 30 to 40%, right? The reason for sharing some of these stats is because, all of us Shilpa ma'am, you working in a leading organization. Ma'am, you representing the government. And ma'am, you are working in your own entrepreneurial journey. It'd be really beautiful to hear about your experiences and perhaps some nuggets of wisdom in terms of how might women apply themselves in the MSME areas. Let's also be very authentic in terms of some of the challenges that we might face, some of the structural reshaping that we need to do, and perhaps some of the lessons we as women ourselves need to take ourselves, right, in preparing ourselves for the journey forward. So with that, let me start with a question for all of us, and we have a mic for each one of you if you want to take that. Each one of you represents leadership in your respective sectors. In one line, what does empowerment truly mean in today's MSME and entrepreneurship ecosystem? Shilpa ma'am, will start with you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I think eye-opening statistics, I must say. I think to me, in a line, what does it mean is getting the due recognition, right? And I always say, believe in yourself. It starts with believe in yourself and stand up for yourself. Nobody else is going to stand up for you.
Super, very well said, ma'am. Believe in yourself. Thank you. Thanks for that. Yourself, ma'am?
Hello. Yeah. As per empowerment in today's MSME ecosystem, I feel that it's very important for the digitization and financial support and the fostering environment through the various innovative ideas, ease of doing business, and the global integration.
Amazing, ma'am. With that, you've spoken about a lot of infrastructure capabilities, right? So, belief in yourself is important, but equally important is to have that infrastructure which makes you stand strong. Thank you for that. Ashwini, ma'am, yourself?
I just feel empowerment is a very loaded term, you know, and when I say loaded, I think of responsibility. And as a responsible entrepreneur, for me, empowerment means how do I use the power that I have, you know, to make a very visible difference in people's lives, even to ourselves and to the planet, you know, and that kind of comes together for me as a entire integrated business idea as well.
That's amazing. You spoke about purpose, right? Why do we do what we do is so important in today's time. And if we were listening intently to Joshi sir's session, he also spoke about that, right? Once he had achieved a certain level, he wanted to give back and, you know, raise the bar for everyone. So thank you so much for your interesting perspectives. Maybe Shilpa ma'am, I'll pose one important question to you here. In today's competitive landscape, businesses must balance profitability, sustainability, and impact. How can MSMEs realistically integrate sustainability without increasing operational pressure?
I think it's the trifecta that every corporation, big or small, does struggle with. No two ways about it. I think sustainability often can come at the heart of what you do. I don't think it necessarily has to come at a cost of what you do. It's a mindset. If you think about it, if it's a mindset that one needs to adjust, then everything you do, you will start with that nugget of sustainability. And I think, like you said, we owe it to the planet. And I think it's at the heart and at the nugget of everything you do. Everything will flow from it because it will drive profitability, because you will have an inherent story to talk about.
That's beautiful. Perhaps can you, just extending
Sure.
on it, maybe an example that perhaps Marico has embarked on,
Sure.
or you've seen outside in the industry, which was amazing that you like.
Sure. For Marico, for those who don't know, one of the brands we have is Parachute. We use 1 in 3 coconuts that are grown in India. And we have a program called Kalpavriksh, which is, I don't know, more than 20 years old, maybe longer, where we work with the farmers. And it is about teaching them sustainable practices, making them more empowered and independent, and really eliminating the middleman. Now, the question you might ask is, so what's sustainable about it? I just want to remind everybody plastic is not the only thing that one has to worry about when it comes to sustainability, right? And this is an example of what we do. Obviously, there's quite a lot of work that's happening on plastics, etc. India itself has a plastic pact. Multiple companies are a part of it. And the government has mandated as of 2026, 30% of your plastic footprint has to be recycled. At Marico, I can tell you 95% of our portfolio is recyclable.
It's fantastic.
And a lot of it, I was at a talk recently, and I think it's not something we started doing yesterday. From the day the company was conceived, it's been at the heart of what was believed. So, if you wake up late to the party and say, I now need to worry about sustainability, trust me, there's a long journey to be done.
Fabulous, ma'am. And we were talking about how the founders often have that DNA.
Absolutely.
And that's what the ethos of Marico's is. Fabulous. Biju, ma'am, perhaps if you could expand on that and talk a bit about government and the schemes and maybe some practical areas where you're seeing sustainability in action.
These days, you must be knowing there is a circular economy policy, which is based on the sustainability only. Because we all know that 3R, reuse, recycle, and reduce. So all three, even though there are several sectors, so if you keep it in mind, all 3Rs at your level, and you do the manufacturing in that way, so it will be very sustainable product. I feel each and everybody's responsibility, because sustainability word is since last several years, but very few are working on it. And that's why these days government is behind circular economy policy, which is incentive based. So I think this is a today's era and the need to make our world sustainable.
And that's a great point that government is actually incentivize people to be incentive. It's a right thing to do, but it's also incentivizing. Have you seen an example of where the Maharashtra government has played that role?
Yeah, we have circular economy policy of the government of India. On that basis, we are preparing for the Maharashtra, and in that we all know, must be knowing, 100% recycling concept is there. Recycling the treated water, reuse the treated water. So these concepts are wastewater treatment facilities are there. So these, when you, if you do, any industry is in a practice of recycling and reuse, we will monitor that, and on that basis, we will give the incentives. So this is being proposed in our circular economy policy.
Awesome. Thank you, ma'am, for sharing. Maybe Ashwini, ma'am, I'll move on to you with a question. Very fascinating to know that you're working in the fashion space as well. So hopefully something specific to your industry in retail or products like that. So we believe that no entrepreneur grows in isolation. It's an ecosystem. What role does industry play, industry bodies, government institutions, and private sector in terms of collaboration and strengthening the MSME ecosystem? And I'd like to personally request if you have examples where it has benefited you or your organization, if you can share for inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're so right. Entrepreneurship definitely doesn't grow in isolation. So just to a 2-minute introduction. So while we are in fashion lifestyle, but we are building, or our primary work is in Khadi, right? So we're building a whole ecosystem in Khadi. And because we are working in Khadi, for us, the starting point really was KVIC. I mean, we could not have done anything without KVIC. And I feel government bodies, institutions, they have become almost like runway, and, they've accelerated our progress than actually anything else, right? KVIC has built a fabulous network of Khadi institutions across the country. Now, if we were to sit and build that kind of infrastructure, it would take us 50 to 60 years. And that is what has probably taken Fab India to become a brand, right? Because they built that infrastructure by themselves. And here we could leverage a KVIC infrastructure to grow in, processes and access to their people, artisans, all of that, right? I think the second important thing was also the MSME finance help that we got. We've been able to leverage that ecosystem so well to start our own retail. It's because it is very important to kind of set the benchmarks at international and global standards, right? The idea is not to really find loopholes in the government system, but as a private enterprise, how can you actually use global standard of excellence and create a product that actually stands at par in the market, right? So when I think the government institutions and systems and private enterprise, when they're kind of coming together, that's when an ecosystem is actually being leveraged well.
Mama, that's a great response as well. And we have seen several examples. Suta, for example, it is also an entrepreneurship stint by two sisters, if you will. And so let me ask a different question, perhaps the other side. While challenges have no gender, but have you, from a gender perspective, have you noticed certain fallbacks? It could be in terms of the loan origination. It could be in terms of ecosystem, in terms of networking. Have you faced some of these barriers, if you will, and how have you overcome that?
Look, I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, I've really never faced gender bias issues ever in my life. I have been working with Marico, or I have worked with Marico for 11 years. And after that, I moved on to start this whole enterprise. And we've been here for 5-7 years. I think the challenge really for a woman, if I were to say, is lying in her own head. I think it's in the mindset of her own head, whether how people will treat her. She will get treated the way she wants to get treated. I think, if you go with that mindset, I've never faced, networking issues. I've never faced problems sitting in front of investors and talking. I think it's just that the way women are groomed right from the beginning in the society. And I think that is what we need to really address.
That's amazing. It goes back to your point of purpose, right? As long as you're clear of what you want to deliver, the gender is never the issue. Let me bring a similar question to you, Shilpa ma'am. You are the Chief Technology Officer of a wonderful organization, and yet we have fewer women in CXO role. It's a fact. And while, again, there is no I guess gender specific, but how do you, perhaps going back to your question that you said that you should have confidence and self-belief, right? How do you build that self-belief walking into a boardroom where it's only men?
That's a question I'm asked pretty much at every forum around Women's Day. I was asked a very interesting question related to that. So my answer always is stand up, even if you're the only woman, because you probably represent 100 other women when you're in that room.
I think good one.
To me, it's a very simple one. Even if you don't have a point to make, I would make a point. I just want to give a couple of examples in this. I worked with Unilever for almost 25 years. And I remember we had a huge foreign delegation that had come. And obviously, I kind of dressed up in a dress or something. And Leena Nair, who was then the chief HR officer at Unilever, now she's CEO at Chanel, amazing lady, pointed out one thing to me. She says, Shilpa, why are you trying to fit in? They are visiting India. You're Indian. Stand up for your heritage. Look different. And, I think it's amazing at any, sort of instance of our lives. We've had, I think, amazing role models who've also helped talk about. Now, it's a way of visually standing up for yourself, okay? It's a way of visually saying, I am different and I'm proud to be different. Somebody asked me a question, when do you start speaking up? Is it hierarchical? And I want to tell all the women in the room, there is no hierarchy associated with, speaking up. Speak up because it's right. Speak up because you believe in it.
Very well spoken, ma'am. Completely resonate with those thoughts. Shifting gears a little bit, ma'am, Viju ma'am, I'll come to you. Looking ahead 5 years, what is one shift that you believe will refine how businesses are built in India from a technology perspective, sustainability perspective, policy, AI perspective as well. What's your view and perhaps some ideas that you have experimented or looked at from a government lens?
I feel just she has mentioned that the government is there everywhere. So I feel for a successful implementation of all government policies, the coordinating efforts are very much important. Coordinating efforts between the government, industry bodies, and the stakeholders, so that we can easily access and address the issues, challenges the industries are facing. And there are several policies these days, women empowerment policies. All departments are behind preparing the women empowerment policies for giving the benefits to the women. Like we have, industry department has several policies. Chief Minister Employment Generation Program, wherein we give the additional benefits. So 35% benefit is given for the women entrepreneur. So here that more MSME, this is a MSME based policy, which I found throughout since inception, it is more than 60% women are taking part and benefit of this CMAGP policy. There are several other policies like package scheme of incentives. Also, the women policy, which is specially prepared for the big industries, which gives the benefit of capital subsidy. And so only need is the whole directorships should be the women, and your employment should be the 50%. Women employment should be 50%. So I personally feel that if, these days there are several policies, so each and every industrialist, entrepreneur should take benefit of these policies and start their businesses.
That's great, ma'am. That's educational and very instructive. There are many programs that the government has set up. It's very encouraging to see. Ashwini ma'am, Shilpa ma'am, I'll come to you with the same question, but I'd like to add two specific data points as well. One is, according to the World Economic Forum, by 2030, the top 10 world problems, the top 5 primarily are going to be around sustainability, right? Cybersecurity is on number 7, but sustainability is going to be a continued theme. The other theme is around the AI frenzy that we all are experiencing right now. I was just telling Shilpa ma'am, I released a research paper yesterday on human plus AI, and according to my research, that in the next 90% of the CXOs believe in the next 3 years, human plus AI is more of a reality, and astonishing 40% believe it's in the next 1 year, meaning your coworker will be a bot or your work itself will be redefined, right, with AI. So please, if you could answer the 5-year outlook question in terms of what you see the shift in terms of economic trends, leadership, etc., with the lens of sustainability and infusion of AI, I'd greatly appreciate that. Maybe Ashwini ma'am, if we can start with you.
So AI, I'll bucket AI with technology. And I feel the shift and the real shift will happen when there is convergence of sustainability and technology. I think it cannot be treated anymore as separate individual add-on items. And I can talk from a business context. The moment technology, sustainability integrates into your core, into your foundation as a business, it will automatically shift the gear. And I think that's where businesses will go 5 years from now. You won't have a choice. There will be no option. You have to think technology and sustainability as fundamentals and core and build on, right? I mean, just to give you an example, with Khadi, Khadi as a process is a zero carbon footprint process. It conserves 92% water compared to mill-made fabric. Yeah, nobody knows on the sustainability angle of it, but it is core to it. I mean, if you take that away, there is no Khadi, right? So it's integral part of the business. Now, if I do not use technology and I do not use AI to modernize the supply chain, or to retail it to people in the most modern avatar, then it's a failure. So I need to figure out how it integrates into the core of both, both sustainability and technology integrates, and then that business is a
Super.
success.
So for your business, you're going to make it work for you. You're going to make sure it's the foundation.
It is the foundation, otherwise it will not sustain.
Totally true. And, we have beautiful examples where carbon footprint and credits are being captured by organizations. And they're talking about, like many companies do track that, and using sustainable fabric earns you those extra points, etc. So potentially, and especially the younger lot, is so conscious about sustainability. Maybe you will see a uptrend in terms of where the consumption of sustainable products will go up, right? So on and so forth. Shilpa ma'am, your views, please.
No, absolutely, completely agree. I think it goes hand in hand. Simple business processes getting converted using AI tools. I think that's the reality. I think AI is here. I don't think it's a year away. It's here. Just look at all the young people here, maybe some of us also who are on Instagram. The way you're bombarded with information, how much of it is generated by AI, right? And when you now think about sustainability, and I fully agree with you, it's at the heart of what you do. For every sort of conversion of that information using AI, etc., the amount of power needed, the amount of, I would say, a lot of it gets crunched down, right? Because you're not sort of spending 10 hours, looking at that business process. Simple thing, how many of us, when we've logged on to something, a bot is sort of starting to respond with you? Because often you just have a problem solution and you want somebody to just help you navigate. So to me, a lot of it is very AI driven, and it's today. In terms of sustainability, it's the same. I'll take a very different example, sustainable nutrition. Because now again, when you think about what you grow, what you consume, what you eat, very different way of looking at it, and how AI can really help when it comes to product development, when it comes to talking about goodness of what you eat. It's a very different way of looking at it.
Super, ma'am. I think these are really great and real examples. I must really thank all of you for demystifying these questions for us. Maybe one question I'd like to also ask about is, given that this is about Prerna session and each one of us is inspired by different people. Like, for example, Prabodh sir says that Nilesh has inspired me. Not at all. He's inspired by his mother, who's just like a total powerhouse. And I think, let me ask you, right, two questions. One is, in part, what inspires you to be who you are? Each one of you is a leader who's achieved so much in your realm. And what role has skilling played for you, right? Because I'll speak from my experience. I'm a psychology major, and I've been working in the technology world with data and AI for the last 20 years. And it's only because I've been able to skill myself year after year to stay relevant. It's more about relevance and being the best version of yourself. So for me personally, it gives me the competitive advantage, having a learning mindset. But I'd love to understand from all of you your inspiration and how have you perhaps built on your skills over the years?
So inspiration is more often than not close at home. Starts with probably my mother, my grandmothers. And I was raised very independently. I think to me independence was something that I took for granted. I've been brought up in Bombay, and I'll tell you, 4th standard I could take a train from King Circle to VT to watch a movie. So upbringing, empowerment, however you want to put it, has been part of how it has been. The second question you asked is about learning, and learning agility. To me, I think we learn something new every day. And it is, if you don't learn every day, I don't think you're relevant. It's as simple as that. The question I asked earlier, how many of you are on Insta who are from my generation? I'll tell you, I had my daughter teach me Instagram when it first came out, because I said, I need to know what you're doing. I need to learn what you're doing. But to me, I think we learn something new every day. And it's not about being relevant. It's about, I don't think you can function if you're not learning every day.
Very well said, ma'am. Yourself, ma'am?
Yeah, it's the same, like the ma'am said, Shilpa ma'am said. So my inspiration is my mom, as even my grandmother, because they have taught us how to do hard work, how to be stable in the difficult situations, and how to go ahead. when you are in a dream, you have made some dream and to achieve it. So what to do? So I feel all the time my mother used to say, do your best and God will do the rest. So
Well said.
because there are several problems on the journey and every time we have to face some or other problem, so we have to just focus on our work and we have to be very much perfection, we should give a very much perfection in each and every work, then I feel your dream will be near to you and it will definitely be successful.
Great, great idea, ma'am. Like great philosophy. Very nice. Ashwini, ma'am, yourself?
Who inspires me and what am I inspired by? I'll talk both. So I'm very inspired by Ahilya Devi Holkar, very much. I also from family lineage and history, but she's a woman who's fought against all odds. Uh, her life was full of challenges, and yet she was driven by purpose, driven by what change she can drive in the society, in the mindset, in just every aspect that she touched in her life. And I think that is what I'm inspired by, that as a person, as an individual, I'm driven by that sense of purpose, or how am I going to make a difference to the society, to my people, to myself, to the planet, everything. And I think that drives me every day. Skills, I think you spoke about. So I'm a marketing brand specialist by profession, and that's what I have done for 22 years now. But I think that is one of the biggest challenge that the Indian ecosystem faces. How do you build brands out of products, right? And I think that is what I want to leverage, because on the side, what I also do is help a lot of startups to promote or to build brands out of their products, because I think that's something that is not very easily accessible in the industry.
That's
Yeah.
amazing, ma'am. And like you mentioned, you have worked for years at a wonderful company like Marico. You have learned many, I guess, tricks, and you've experienced that, and now you want to, as an MSME company, you want to share that with others. That's wonderful. That's so great to hear. I must acknowledge that in listening to these amazing leaders, it almost seems like their philosophy is a reflection of the people they've become. It's so core to all of them. So I really admire that about all of you, and you're authentically yourself, which is just wonderful to hear. Like, before we go on to perhaps the last question, maybe we can open the floor up for a couple of audience questions. So if you have a question, kindly raise your hand, and the team there can pass the mic. Anyone, any questions that you might want to ask? Anyone? Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Uh, yeah, you all said your inspiration is your mother, grandmother, and people, ladies around in your house. So, have you ever faced or ever felt that they were not given the dues which they should have been gotten, and then that inspired you more to do things what you are doing right now?
No, honestly, I think they were equally empowered, I must say. They were equally empowered, like my mother was equally empowered. In fact, she ran an NGO for 25 plus years, empowering women. And I can tell you, but I don't think it was out of or missing it that, I think it was just part of upbringing. I think I was lucky. And I always believe, behind a successful woman is the entire family, honestly, not just the husband or the parents. I think it's the entire family who stands behind us, who allow us to be where we are today.
That's the same here. I can say my mother, when I was very young, 5-year-old, that time she has decided to make me the government officer. And my elder sister, she should be the doctor. My brother should be the businessman. And whatever the dream she has seen that time, and she has fulfilled it, because my elder brother is a businessman, government electrical contractor. My elder sister, she is a doctor, MD, MBBS MD, and I'm a government officer. So the path she has shown us, that was the wonderful, and I'm
Wow.
hats off to her.
Hats off. Hats off. They say the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. This is exemplified by your mother.
Thank you.
Ashwini ma'am, if you want to. I think there was a hand in the back. The lady.
Congratulations to all dignitaries, and I must say that inspiration may be different, but the thing is the same, that is your inner voice. And you all are inspiration for us. My question, I want to ask one question to Viju ma'am. She is talking about CME GP schemes and other government schemes also, but what I realize that even most of us can realize that most of the banks are not ready to cooperate because of maybe some reasons and documentations. So it is really very hurdle to increase the businesses also.
That's true. But these days we are conducting several awareness programs through each and every district and each and every talukas of the districts. So recently even we have conducted Ignite Maharashtra program, so wherein we have shared a single platform for the all export promotion councils and all government departments, required government departments also. So just to make the awareness and make available all government officers at your step actually. Because we have an experience that the stakeholders, industries are not taking initiatives. When we conduct the program, awareness program, they doesn't come to attend the programs. So this is our experience. Another is we are regularly, these days, the government is working more than 24 hours. I can say that because each and every policy we are taking a rigorous follow-up of each and every policy. Even myself taking the bank review even though I'm heading 7 districts of Maharashtra, and still I'm taking the rigorous follow-up from the banks for the CMAGP scheme. Every month I'm taking the follow-up from the bankers. So each and every case we are taking the status of that, updation of that, and we are insisting bankers to do the necessary things. The entrepreneurs, where they lack, actually, they go on a common reasoning. Because many times this question and the similar answers we get in the forum, that government is not doing anything and the bankers are not supporting us. I personally feel that the entrepreneur who is with us, you need to contact the right person. You need to contact the right officer. It is very important. When if you have any particular case, please share with me. We are taking a lot of follow-up, and last week only, Honorable DCM sir and the industry minister, we have conducted on Women's Day, we have conducted the Women Empowerment Program. In 4 days, we have sanctioned 25 cases.
Wow.
In the 4 days.
That's great.
So we called the bankers and we asked them, they doesn't see in their portals also. So we asked them, actually when we take the follow-ups, they just casually give us the answers every time.
I guess this is a really good point, ma'am. So, ma'am, I would request you to kindly connect with Viju, ma'am.
Yeah,
as she's
definitely.
exemplified. And we
Exactly.
are so lucky, ma'am, you're here to give us those real examples. I'll just maybe say that looks like both parties, the entrepreneurs and the government, are looking to work together. And I want to point out the importance of CASMB and organizations like these. These are watering holes, meaning like-minded people come together at events like this, which triggers millions of ideas, innovation, and connection points. So I'm so happy you came here, and Viju ma'am, you're here to continue on that follow-up and that ecosystem. So thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
I
Yeah.
just add, last week program was 3,500 women has participated in that program, and we have played the 10 success stories, women entrepreneurs success stories from the Maharashtra. Under the CMAGP scheme only, there was a variety of the sectors. Actually, like the dentist, she was there, manufacturers were there, service providers were there. Even we have sanctioned several food trucks during that program. In a 4 days of period, we have done the scrutiny of their application, then sanctioned the bank loan, disbursed the bank loan, and even purchased the truck from the Tata Motors. So everything happened in 4 days. So you will not believe, but that time it was a holy period, but still we have done that
That's
successfully.
amazing, ma'am. Thank you for all the hard work and the behind the scene the government does. You know, oftentimes it's easy to say, "Acha, ye hua nahi, wo nahi hua," but you know, examples like these are very inspiring. And I would encourage all of us to take advantage of all the government schemes and the mentions that have been made over here. I'm taking a quick time check because I know the program should continue on. So we'll wrap up today's session with perhaps an inspiration or advice, a very quick one sentence on what advice would you give to a young entrepreneur sitting in the audience? It doesn't have to be young, it could be, you know, multi-generational, who wants to start today but feels uncertain about where to begin. So maybe Viju ma'am will start with you since you were on that team. Where can a young or an entrepreneur start their journey from? Acha, theek hai, great.
That's the basic criteria. But in CMAGP, we have changed the criteria. There is no age limit now. I personally feel that my advice is don't think my idea is worthwhile or not. Don't waste the time on that. You just, when you get a good idea, you have a good product, that time just take a benefit of government policies and start your business.
Thank you, Viju ma'am. Ashwini ma'am, if you want to go next.
I would say that it's also to do with, as an entrepreneur, what you face later. So, what is important is the motivation with which you really start in the business, because that is what will keep you going when things are not working in your favor when you're in the business, right? So, if you are really solving for a very strong consumer need or any kind of need that you feel very passionate about, I think the ways will work out, whether it's resources, whatever it is. And plus, it will keep giving you motivation to wake up every day and say, okay, tomorrow is going to be better. So, because I think there is this whole myth about, early success. There is nothing called as early success in entrepreneurship. It's not about 2 years and 3 years and 5 years. You have to be in it for the long, it's a long overhaul, right? So, yeah, you have to figure out what will sustain you for that much time.
Well said, Ashwini ma'am. Last but not the least.
I started with saying believe in yourself. I'll end by saying also ask for help. Because in a journey as an entrepreneur, you can't do it all. You can't have all the answers. And there is absolutely, and being a woman more so, it is okay to ask for help. I think we as women think we are, if I ask for help, is it somewhere talking a little less about myself, my capability? Because I think out there we all want to prove we are super women. There is no harm in asking for help. I think it's just that much more power to us.
Amazing. Very well said. Very well said. Thank you so much, all three of you, for being wonderful panelists today. Yes.
Hello. It was good to hear all of you. I am 80 plus, but I I have been watching women since then, but father's contribution you should not forget. That's all.
True that. Very well said. We need men as gender advocates. I'd like to wrap today's session by genuinely thanking the esteemed women dignitaries on the stage. One is a believer, one is a connector, and one is a purpose-led lady. Thank you so much for the inspiring talk today. I'd like to end today's session also by thanking CASMB for creating these opportunities of connection points and inspiration for all of us. Thank you very much for being a patient audience. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Harsha ma'am, Shilpa ma'am, Viju ma'am, and Ashwini ma'am for this wonderful session. Thank you so much. Now I would like to request Harsha ma'am to felicitate Shilpa ma'am, please. Now, Harsha ma'am, please felicitate Viju ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Please felicitate Ashwini, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I would like to request Shobha, ma'am, please felicitate Harsha, ma'am. Thank you all panelists. Thank you, Harsha ma'am. Now we will take one short break for tea, and you can bring your tea inside, and then we will start 10 minutes break, okay? So after that, we will start our next session. Thank you so much.